There are truths that cannot not be true. And so, existence is as it is. My name is Yanto. In other videos, I explain that I am the one who was formerly here in a previous time, who is commonly referred to as Jesus. I explain how I came to understand this and what it means. In this video, I will make it clear why there is something rather than nothing. This has never been done before in all human history, except by me in some of my other videos. The truth of why there is something rather than nothing, whether it be accurately identified as being God, or some fundamental elementary particle, force, or phenomenon, or something else entirely. The truth will bring us coherency with the truth of our situation in any given situation. If I can show you clearly enough here why there is something rather than nothing, and show you clearly why the truth of this is in effect at all times, in all locations, at all scales, in all ways, in effect in a way that can never be broken or interrupted or even slowed down in any way ever, then you will understand how eternal life is not a gift that is given, but an absolute imperative that can never be denied, avoided, gotten out of. You will understand that the gifts of eternal existence are what we give to ourself out of love and compassion for ourself, because we know that we must eternally exist. True awakening is not, oh wonderful, I got here finally, all of my troubles are now over. True awakening is, oh, this existing, it's really never going to stop, is it? No matter what changes I go through, it really is going to go on and on and on. How can I best love myself through this? This is the true awakening, the true ascension. So, let's see if we can get you there. Why there is something rather than nothing. There is something rather than nothing because there are truths that cannot not be true. This is a straightforward enough statement for me to make, but can it be shown clearly enough to qualify as self-evident? Can I provide a single, tangible, verifiable example of a truth that cannot not be true? I can provide more than that. The first truth we will look at is clearer than the clearest crystal. It's really the perfect truth to present as an example of a truth that is so simple and in perpetual effect, it cannot be denied. Not with anything approaching coherency, it can't. The truth is this: there are 3 spatial dimensions. Why are there 3 spatial dimensions? Because it is impossible for there not to be. But where did they come from? Who put them there? What incomprehensible force or phenomenon brought these 3 spatial dimensions into being? What was here before the 3 spatial dimensions were here? What happens when you travel far enough to reach the end of them? There are 3 spatial dimensions. There are 3 spatial dimensions because there just are 3 spatial dimensions. They just are because they just cannot not be. It is impossible for there not to be 3 spatial dimensions. It is simply existentially impossible for there not to be 3 spatial dimensions. It is so absolutely impossible, it cannot even be imagined. It doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter when you go. It doesn't matter at what scale you go there. There will be 3 spatial dimensions waiting for you when you get there. If you could shrink down your human body and your human physical senses, or expand it to any order of scale at all, you would find 3 spatial dimensions waiting for you, because it is simply impossible for you not to. The absence of 3 spatial dimensions is not, and never can be, an option for you, for anybody. This is what it means for a truth to be absolute and infinitely scalable. This is what it means for a truth to be always happening. The truth that there are 3 spatial dimensions is a truth that is always happening to all living entities. The 3 spatial dimensions are non-physical, and they are forever happening. You can never escape, transcend, get beyond the 3 spatial dimensions, because there is no beyond the three spatial dimensions. That place does not exist. The three spatial dimensions cannot ever be exited. Ever. They will continue to happen to me. They will continue to happen to you. They will continue to happen to us all. It's simply impossible for them to ever not happen to us. You see, truths that cannot not be true. Yes, they are not physical phenomena in and of themselves, but they are in effect relentlessly. They're not physical phenomena themselves because they do not change over space and time, but they happen to all that does change over space and time. Please hear this. Truth is not that which is physical. Truth is that which happens to the physical. That which happens as the physical. Truth is the cause that cannot not cause. The physical expression of this is the effect that must forever be in agreement with the cause, must forever demonstrate and prove the cause that cannot not cause, the truth that cannot not be true. That which we take as being the only thing that is real, the physical, is actually the ever-changing effect of that which is never-changingly real. That which changes over space and time is the physical. Therefore, that which is unchangingly real cannot be physical. The three spatial dimensions are the expression of a truth so simple it is in effect at all times, in all places, at all scales, and so forth. More complex truths will sometimes be in effect and sometimes not. I can contemplate whether or not I will hit this egg with this hammer in this way, or whether I will not hit the egg with the hammer. The truth of what happens if I hit this egg with this hammer is the truth of it, regardless of whether I do hit it or not. The truth remains unbroken, regardless of whether it needs to happen or not, regardless of whether it is currently in effect or simply existing there as a potential effect that could be brought into realization. Here is my question to you. Can you see now that there are three spatial dimensions is a truth that cannot not be true? Be honest with yourself, out of respect and love and consideration for yourself. Can you see that there are three spatial dimensions is a truth that cannot not be true? If you can, then you do now understand that there are truths that cannot not be true. If you can't, there may not be too much I can do for you right now. But let's assume that you are able to see and admit that there are 3 spatial dimensions, because it is impossible for there not to be. Let's go ahead now and look at another super simple truth. One that is in effect for all of us all the time. Here it is. One moment follows another. What is a moment? What is the present moment? The present moment is one single iteration of truth. At this specific moment of the iteration of all truth everywhere, the iteration of all existence, this part of the field is experiencing sunset, while this part of the field is experiencing sunrise. What caused this entire and infinitely varied moment to exist? Well, it was the iteration of truth immediately and seamlessly prior to this iteration, this moment. Or, in other words, what caused the present moment is the most recent past moment. The arrow of time proceeds in one direction, from the past to the future, via the present, because truth that has already iterated has already iterated. The truth that is currently iterating is iterating as it is because the previous and past truths iterated as they did. And the iterations of the future will iterate as they do, as a direct result of the iterating of the present moment. This is the simple truth of what time is. That all kinds of mysterious relativistic effects can come into play when it comes to how we experience time compared to bodies that are relatively very tiny or moving relatively very fast or whatever. That is what those experiences are. Mysterious relativistic effects. And mysterious relativistic effects are natural. But wherever you go, whenever you go, and at whatever scale of size, speed, and intensity you go there, you will find that one moment follows another when you do arrive there. Truth that cannot stop being true cannot stop being true. And so, one moment follows another. We have space and time because it is impossible, absolutely impossible, for us ever to not have them. It's impossible for us to ever have them not happening to us. They are the endless gift that is endlessly given, the endless gift we are never able to refuse. Okay, so there are none who can explain to me how the three spatial dimensions could ever possibly not exist, and no reason to wish to. And there are none who can coherently refute the very simple and obvious reason why the past happens before the present and the present before the future, and no reason to wish to. So my contention that there are truths that cannot not be true is supported here, proven, I would say. We have three spatial dimensions because we simply cannot not have them. And we have one moment following another because we simply cannot not have that. But what about that which is contained within the three spatial dimensions? And what about that which happens across the passage of time? Or in other words, just because time and space definitely do exist doesn't explain why time and space should necessarily contain physical stuff that is forever interacting with itself. Well, it kind of does, actually. But it is helpful for us here to be aware of another foundationally simple truth that cannot not be true. As well as it being true that there are three spatial dimensions, and as well as it being true that one moment follows another, it is also true that there is no such thing as absolute nothing or less than zero. There can be no such thing as absolute nothing or less than zero in a three-dimensional space, because whatever qualities of existence may be reduced to zero, the absolute least, the infinite and eternal living unified field can be reduced down to in any possible location in space and time is zero self-differentiation on three axes. And this is equilibrium, no less. There is no less than equilibrium. No such thing. Such a place is not there. What space contains and time expresses are the contents of the contexts that they are. And what name shall we give to that which space contains and time expresses? For the purposes of my expression, we will call these things qualities of existence. And both time and space will be included as qualities of existence. This is not a contradiction. If we are saying that qualities of existence are what is contained by space and expressed over time, then we can also say that any given space contains space, and any given period of time expresses over time. So, space, time, and all that they contain and express between them is what we are calling here qualities of existence. The dimensions of space can be sensed. The passage of time can be sensed. The objects, thoughts, and feelings that space and time contain and express, they can be sensed. And so we call them qualities. For qualities are those aspects of reality, of existence, that can be sensed. And the qualities of existence are all entirely relative to one another. They are relative. They are family. What is hot for this family member is cold for another. What space contains and time expresses is the living, unified field of truths that cannot not be true. And space contains this at all scales, in all locations, without any gaps, while time expresses this at all speeds, in all moments, without pause or interruption. The qualities of existence are those aspects of all of this happening that can be sensed by us. But what about us? Us who are being conscious of all of this space and passage of time. Our living consciousness seems at one and the same time to be both fundamental to who and what we are, while also presenting itself as an infinitely rich and complexly mysterious phenomenon. Is consciousness a simple and fundamental phenomenon, or is it an enormously complex phenomenon that can only be the result of many, many more simple phenomena combining in a way that results in something quite magical? How can it be that the iteration of absolute truth should bring about such consciousness as ours? How can it be that the iteration of absolute truth should bring about any kind of consciousness of any kind? The iterating of truth, which absolute truth absolutely must do, is consciousness. The iterating of truth is what consciousness is. Absolute truth insists that there are 3 spatial dimensions. Absolute truth insists that one moment follows another. Absolute truth insists that absolute truth must iterate within the 3 spatial dimensions and across time. And so, the absolute truth that is iterating in one area of space at a given time is iterating relative to absolute truth that is iterating in a neighbouring area of space. These 2 areas of absolute truth cannot break each other because absolute truth is unbreakable by definition. So they must be in agreement with each other, in balance with each other. Truth must iterate. It has no choice about this. And truth iterating relative to neighbouring truth is literally truth being conscious of neighbouring truth. Truth must iterate, which makes it a living thing. And truth must iterate relative to all the rest of the truth that is also currently iterating, which makes it a conscious thing. Consciousness is very much fundamental, foundational to existence. Consciousness is a fundamentally simple phenomenon that can express at any level of complexity. Truth has no choice about living, and it has no choice about being conscious. This is simply how it is for the eternal. This is simply how it is for you. This is simply how it is for us. This is simply how it is.